I apologize. I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as possible. Mama Kaiser had to have surgery this morning, and so that's why this video is going out so late. She's okay, by the way. It turns out that there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that I won't get into this video, but Mama Kaiser's surgery had to be postponed, and so we've been out all morning taking care of that. But yeah, she's doing okay, but yeah, that's why this video is coming out so late. So let's go ahead and take a look. We've got the 8.2.0 developer updates for August. Of course, this does not include the Castlevania stuff. We're going to get that when the PTB patch notes drop, which should be next week, if I'm correct. Around August 6th is when the PTB is coming out, if I'm correct. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump into this. We're starting off with some changes to the Dredge, which is good. When I did my updated killer tier list, which you can check if you join the Discord, I have a thing in there called Kaiser's Opinions, where I just kind of like a regular updated tier list and things. I put the Dredge in C tier. The unfortunate thing about the Dredge is that they are probably the single most map-reliant killer in the game outside of Trapper. They have a really decent anti-loot, but there's a lot of like little minor things that just kind of hold them back kind of majorly. Being an M1 killer and their anti-loot being all right, they kind of suffer from a lot that holds back honestly a pretty intricate and good kit. So let's see what they've done. They've increased the movement speed while charging Reign of Darkness to 3.8 meters, was 3.68. So Reign of Darkness is their TP ability. You hold down the right click and you leave the Remnant behind, and you can keep moving, and you can either teleport to a locker or teleport back to the Remnant. So they are slightly faster when they are charging it, which is really, really good. They increased the teleport speed outside of Nightfall to 16 meters a second, was 12. Which is amazing. Inside of Nightfall, the teleport to lockers is extremely fast, and now it looks like it's going to be right around just barely below. I don't know what the exact speed inside of Nightfall is, but this is it's a massive buff. Your map presence is going to increase significantly. Reduce the teleport cooldown outside of Nightfall to 10 seconds, was 12, another massive buff. Decrease time to break out of a locker to 2.25 seconds, was 3. A locked locker. Okay, so oh my, this is actually insane. Wait. Increase the charge rate of Nightfall meter to 1 charge per second per injured survivor, was 0.75. That is also very huge. Reduce the volume of the Dredge's sound effects to make it harder to detect. Oh my god. And then adjusted several add-ons, which we'll get more information when the PTB comes out, obviously. So these are actually all massive buffs. I wouldn't even call these like quality of life. These are extremely huge buffs. Will it bump Dredge into the B tier? I don't know. What I do know is that your map presence is heavily increased with these changes. And the Nightfall, which is the strongest part of the Dredge's kit, is also getting massively buffed, and it's going to occur more often. Realistically speaking, this might be what the Dredge needed to be bumped up into B tier. Unfortunately, his map dependency is still there, and that's going to be there until they completely normalize the locker spawns across the game. So for right now, this looks like it's going to be great. Whether it puts him in B tier, I'm not sure. But even if it doesn't, he would be at the top of C tier. These are extremely good buffs. They really help his map presence. They really help his anti-loop. They really help his Nightfall. So yeah, so I look forward to changing these, because the Dredge has always been one of my favorite killers, so I do look forward to that. Next up, they're changing the Doctor, which is odd. I think the Doctor's been in a pretty good place so far, so I don't know what they possibly could be doing. Then again, the last time they updated the Doctor, I thought he was in a good place, so I don't know. Reduce Static Blast cooldown to 30 seconds if no survivors are in range, and reduced it down to 45 seconds if survivors are in range. This is good. Obviously, it's a pretty significant buff, because it's going to charge up super fast if no one's in your terror radius, which an experienced doctor will be able to look at the meter being charged and tell where survivors are. It's basically a built-in whispers perk. I think knocking it down from 60 to 45 in and of itself is a really good buff. I personally would have liked to see a more dynamic reduction where like it was based on like the madness tiers that are in play. So like if everybody's madness 1, it like it's faster to recharge, but like the higher up in madness they go, the slower the recharge or something like that. Increased movement speed while charging static blast to 2.99 meters a second was 1.16. Very significant buff, but I don't know if it's going to be that noticeable in gameplay. Just because generally whenever you're charging it, the charge is so fast that you hardly ever notice the slowdown. Even though the slowdown does occur, you hardly ever notice it. So I don't know how much this is going to change. If it was like 3.5 or something like that, it'd probably be pretty noticeable, but regular doctor players will notice the speed difference, but I don't know if everybody else will. Next up is the Nemesis. This is a character who's been needing a lot of help for a very long time. Mostly due to the fact that the infection doesn't really do anything except make you vulnerable to his whip. But let's see what they've done. So requirements for reaching mutation rate 2 has been reduced to 5 contamination points was 6. That's really good. Tier 2 is your pallet breaking tier, so getting to that faster is really good. It gives Nemesis a really good strong anti-loop ability, much faster. And then increase the hindered penalty duration when infecting a survivor to 2 set. Holy shit. That's huge. So whenever you hit a survivor and infect them, whether they are injured or not, they still get a speed boost. But now that speed boost is going to be significantly reduced, which is really good. This basically helps with his time sink of having to infect before he can injure. Honestly, that change alone might move him up like a place within the B tier. I don't know if it won't move him up to A tier, obviously. It'd be very difficult to make someone like Nemesis A tier, but I think he'll move up within the B tier from where he's at. And then they said they have adjusted Liquor Tongue. I really hope they didn't nerf Liquor Tongue with this change, because Liquor Tongue is just dog shit. I'm hoping they buff it. And Marvin's Blood, which is interesting. Blast Mine, so we're getting some perk updates. Reduce activation requirement to 40% of generator repairs instead of 50. Really good. I'm down for it. Wiretap, reduce activation requirement to 40% instead of 50. I'm down for that. Chemical Trap, reduce the activation requirement to 20%, which is really fucking good. I'm also down for that. Reduce the trap duration to 40, 50, 60 was 1, 110, 120. I don't like that. I think you could have reduced that down to 20%, kept the duration to 120, and it would have been fine. I think this compensation nerf was unnecessary with the buff. Chemical Trap's just really not that strong. And because you can't build up a second one while the first one is in play, I don't think this was necessary. I don't think the compensation nerf was necessary. I think keeping it a duration of 120 is perfectly fine. If you're that worried about it, you could easily bump the activation to 30%, the activation requirement to 30% of a generator, and then keep the 120. But realistically speaking, you could just keep the 120 with the 20% generator repair, and it still would not be like stupid amazing. Next up, we've got a Mirrored Illusion change, reducing the activation requirement to 20% and then nerfing the duration. Again, you didn't need to nerf the duration. The thing about Mirrored Illusion is that it doesn't do anything. It legitimately, from a distance, it can be like a bit of a trick, but generally speaking, Mirrored Illusion does negative things. It accomplishes nothing. So realistically, dude, 120 seconds is fine. These compensation nerfs weren't needed, but you know, this was pretty good. Dance With Me, reduce the cooldown to 20 seconds from 40, which is really fucking good. Dance With Me's biggest problem is that the 3 seconds of the 3 seconds of no scratch marks doesn't do as much as you would like, especially if the killer has like a good view of you. You know, you vault a window with like Lithe or something, which is typically paired with Dance With Me, and then you hang a left. The killer knows to just look to the left, so the 3 seconds of scratch marks being gone doesn't really accomplish what it should. But I'm all for Dance With Me getting a buff. It's fine by me. I don't see any problems with it. Will it increase Dance With Me's usage rate? Maybe, but not realistically speaking. Deception, reduce the cooldown to 20 seconds from 40. Now this one I actually think might be a bit of a game changer. I'm not gonna say like it's gonna be massive, right? But Deception within itself does 2 things. It creates the loud noise notification and it gets rid of your scratch marks. So if you Deception a locker at, say, Shack, and then quick and quiet out the window, and take off before the killer can round the corner, then yeah, you've created a little bit, so you created a lot of value there. And coming back after 20 seconds means that you can create value at, say, Shack, and then a little bit later at a jungle gym create value. So I'm down for this. I'm actually hoping to see a little bit more of it. Mostly because Deception is just one of my favorite perks. I think it's one of the funnier perks out there. So yeah, no, I'm good. Diversion, reduce activation requirements to 20 from 30 seconds. This is fine. Pebble is not exceedingly strong. I think less time to make it activate is fine. Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie to you. You could probably bring this down to 15 seconds, and it would still be the funny perk. But it's still pretty good. It's a significant buff. I don't think you're gonna see its usage rates go up a lot, but hey, you know, I'm down for it. There's a lot of they're buffing all the trap perks, and then they're buffing the hiding scratch mark perks. I wonder what that's about. Flashbang, reduce the activation requirement down to 40% from 50. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like that. Flashbangs are exceedingly weird the way they work. I'm not going to edit the clip in because, like I said, I don't really have time. I've got to take a nap before I go to my doctor's appointment tonight. But the thing about Flashbang is that they act very weird. So the other day, I had someone drop a Flashbang like in Narnia. They were really far away from me, but they didn't have an animation. There was no sound, and when it went off where it would have been too far to blind me, and it blinded me anyway. You're supposed to be able to look up to avoid a flashbang. That's still buggy and doesn't work very well. The thing is that flashbangs are exceedingly powerful, more powerful than I think people want to admit. So I don't know about having it come up as often, or come up more often, because they're very, 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 very powerful tools. Yes, they're skill tools. They require precise timing, but unfortunately with things like Sprint Burst and Background Player, the timing is much easier to pull off. And right now with the animation and the sound of them being bugged, it's also a lot harder. I personally think that they need to add a visual indicator that the flashbang has been dropped before they start looking at buffing it. So yeah, I think this is it's a little bit spooky, but we'll have to see how it plays out. Next up, they're changing Prestige. Prestige levels are no longer shown in the pregame lobby. I am down for this change. I don't have high Prestige characters, so you know it's not it has never affected me, but there is a problem with people with P100s being kind of like harassed because they're P100s. It's really weird. People in gaming in general like to pass off that they've got a higher skill level than they think they do. It's kind of like seeing like a pred badge in Apex. Everybody wants to go kill the Predator so that they can post on Twitter that they killed the Predator. Everybody wants to beat the P100 so they can post on Twitter that they beat the P100 because it makes their internet dicks feel bigger. So anything that's going to avoid characters in the lobby getting specifically harassed and targeted, I'm all for. I don't think this is a bad thing at all. Hook stages. Increase the duration of hook phases to 70 seconds. Ugh. Ooh. Yeah. I don't know about that one, Chief. What's the dev note say? Some time ago, the total repair time of generators was increased. For the most part, this was a positive change, though it had the side effect of making camping more effective. Focusing on repairs was the best way other survivors could counter camping, but with repairs taking longer, the survivors aren't able to get as much done before the hook survivor is sacrificed. To combat this, we are increasing the duration of hook phases to 70 seconds. This will allot more time for survivors to repair if the killer chooses to camp the hook survivor. So, to go through both hook stages used to be 120 seconds, which is enough to repair 1 1/3 generator. Now it's 140, which is enough to repair 1 and almost over a half a generator. So, yeah, I see what they're saying, but I don't know if this is necessarily the way to fix camping. If there even is a fix for camping needed. Face camping's already been fixed. So I don't know if this was necessary. I mean, I don't hate it, but I don't know that it's necessary. You know, I feel like this is just going to cause more problems than it needs to. Like, especially with, like, in-game camping. We're gonna have to see. That extra 10 seconds per hook phase is gonna make a huge difference, like a massive difference. I don't think people realize how big 10 seconds is. That's okay. Well, we're gonna wait for this to play out. I don't necessarily hate this, but I don't know if I like it either. Finally, scratch marks. Improved scratch marks visibility. Outstanding. Oh, look at this. This is actually something that I started noticing after the Lara Croft patch, where scratch marks seem to be a lot brighter. So this is really, really good. So scratch marks are a lot brighter. You can see here, they also have a little bit darker outlines, which is really good. I'm down for this. This is cool. This is very, very cool. I am very happy with this. Especially as a hearing impaired person, I need to be able to track survivors better. So yeah, improving their visibility. Although this looks like it makes Predator kind of fucking worthless. Predator was already a dog shit perk, and now it's just even worse. Okay. Mid-Bitch Elementary School. Remove the breakable walls in bathroom. Oh, navigating the map could be difficult for those who don't have it memorized. To make it easier to get between floors, we've removed the breakable walls which previously blocked a path between floors in the bathrooms to improve vertical mobility. Altered layout of the hallways to reduce long-range visibility, and added objects near exit gates to reduce visibility. So, Mid-Bitch is often considered one of the more killer-sided maps because of its small size and lack of strong loops. The thing is, with the bathroom, there was a strategy you could do where you would break one door but leave the other one unbroken, so that survivors would like go up that way and get trapped. Unfortunately, a habit got built because of that strategy that people just wouldn't go in through the bathroom ramps. So it's interesting that there's now like a third way to get to the top floor, because there used to only be two, one on each corner of the map. So adding a third way to get to the top floor is not necessarily a bad thing. I just don't know if this is the thing that I don't know if this is the thing that is gonna make or break. I don't know if this is the thing that we really necessarily need, I would say. These two are interesting, so you're not able to just look down the hallway and see people. I don't know how they're going to change that. But so it says they move some objects around to limit in the hallways, so that's going to be interesting. This also makes Mid-Bitch even worse for Hillbilly. Hillbilly already suffered on Mid-Bitch because the long hallways meant nothing when you could just duck into a classroom, and all the classrooms were so cluttered with shit that it was hard for Hillbilly to do anything. So this is a shadow nerf to Hillbilly if they're just putting more clutter and shit in the way. But I do understand trying to move it away from the heavy killer-sided leanings that it had. I just don't know how that's going to go. So we'll have to play Mid-Bitch in the PTB to figure it out, but hopefully these aren't as bad as they seem. I don't like this. I like this. I want to see how this plays out. So yeah. Overall, mostly W changes. I don't really see any problems. Killers that have needed changes like Nemesis and Dredge have gotten them. I still think the Nemesis could use a lot more. I've always said that Infection should act like a pheromone to zombies. So like if the zombie detects somebody who is infected, they like move faster. And then it's like easier to detect people who are infected, like the zombies can detect them from further away. So I do think that the infection needs to be a little bit stronger, and then maybe you could add like 2 uses for each syringe or something like that. We'll talk about that in a Nemesis video. I think the doctor was in an okay state. I don't think any of this was really necessary. He's been a B tier killer. He's pretty strong. I will say that this is only going to be noticeable by people who normally play doctor. If you don't normally play doctor, you're not going to notice this speed change, at least in my opinion. And this one, I would have liked it to be a bit more dynamic based off of the doctor's madness levels that are in play. How they would be affected by madness levels is a different thing, but I would have really liked to see a more dynamic, involved thing rather than it be a kind of detection system. But these are all necessary. The dredge has been in a very bad state for a long time, so I think this is I know Gamer Athlete is fucking salivating right now, so. But overall, W changes. I'm not really mad at any of these. I do think some of these compensatory nerfs to Mirrored Illusion and Chemical Trap were unnecessary. I think keep them at 120 seconds and it'll be fine. But overall, looking like a really good patch coming up. I can't wait to see Dracula and whatever Belmont they choose as a survivor. So yeah. Other than that, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. As always, a great big special thank you to my channel members listed on screen now. I am going to get this rendered, get it scheduled for upload, and then I'm going to go take a nap before I got to go to the doctor's tomorrow. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Need more Kaiser in your life? Well, I've got you covered. Check out my second channel, The Kaiser Extras, where I upload full gameplays, stream compilations, me reacting to your Dead by Daylight clips, and more. We also upload a daily short with all the greatest clips from stream. We'll see you over there. Link is in the description.